Hey guys, how are we doing? Welcome to Talking Boxing. It is Monday, August the 11th, 2025. And as always, great to have you along. I'm just going to the YouTube page at the moment so I can see the comments in order. So apologies about that. I should have done that earlier. As I said, great to have you along. Numbers have been really good lately, so I really appreciate everyone that sends me messages and asks comments and comments on the posts themselves. Walking Boxing every morning, it's great. We have about sort of 350 people a day that watch it, which is awesome. When I first decided to do it, I never thought we'd get anywhere near that. So I know it's nothing compared to a lot of other channels, but I'm just glad that 350, whatever it is, people every day tune in to listen to what I have to say about boxing, and obviously the same with this program, Talking Boxing. And it's a really good little community we're building here, and to those listening on Spotify after the fact as well, really appreciate the sort of 60 or 70 of you that listen to it every week as well on Spotify. So thank you. And look, if you've got anything if you're listening on Spotify, that is, if you've got some questions or comments or topics you want us to bring up on the show, then let us know as well, probably either on this page or on the Instagram page. All right, so we've got a few people in the chat as I speak. We've got old mate Big J. We've got Drew Keeley. We've got Tony Clifton. We've got Glenn. We've got Asbot, amongst others. Pound for Pound King. I'm just going to move my microphone there so I can see. And Tom's dad, Naz. How are you there? Naz and Eminem, just a name again, just a few. All right, so what are we going to talk about tonight? I can see there's a fair few comments there. Is it the Whyte or Itauma fight? I see there's a couple of comments there that you guys are interested in talking about. Also, what are we? Almost fight week. Nikita and Zeraffa double header. Amongst other things, I don't know. Canelo, Crawford, what are we, a month away? Come around really, really quick. So if you're not familiar with the show, the way it works is that the comment section there, put all your comments, questions, remarks, whatever it might be in there, and let's talk some boxing. All right, we'll go to Tom's dad, Naz, for starters. If I can find your comment there. Evening all. Just wanted to say a big thank you to yourself and all who've reached out about my son, especially Tony Clifton, who's checked in multiple times. This is such a great little community. No problem at all, Naz. And I'm really glad that it's all going well there, mate, or better anyway. And Tony, good on you, mate, for reaching out to Naz. So yeah, as I said, mate, hope it's all going well for you at the moment. I can find your other comment there. Sorry about this, guys. Happens every week with the first few comments. Where are we? Where is it? Tom is home. All right, cool. All right. Tom is home, and we're staying positive for the future. He's loved hearing his name on the show. Once again, thanks for the support. Well, once again, shout out to Tom. Hope he's doing really, really well, and he's feeling a little bit better, and hopefully seeing his name and that on here will cheer him up. So all the best there to you, mate. All right, old mate Big J. We're going to get you on nice and early tonight. Big J, what do you got there? If I can find your comment. All right, there it is. All right. Hey, gents, big week for Sam Goodman. I hope he gets the W, but in reality, fighting a world champion in a division you've never fought in is extremely unlikely. Yeah, it is, Big J, but hey, you got to be in it to win it. I think if I was Sam Goodman, and his team and supporters, I'd be definitely looking at this as a glass half full rather than glass half empty approach. Okay, he's never fought at 126 before, but from what I hear, he walks around quite heavily and actually cuts a fair bit of weight. So I don't think he's going to be maybe as small as what people think. And let's not forget, it's only 4 pounds. So, it's 1.7 kilos or 8 kilos. It's not a lot of weight. So I think he'll carry the weight, no problem, mate. And I think if I'm being honest, I don't think he wins the fight, but I think he gives Nick Ball a good fight. I think he'll surprise a lot of people. Nick Ball is he's a tough little bugger, and he'll just keep coming the whole fight. And I've got a feeling he might be a little bit strong for Sam in the later rounds with that persistent pace. I think Sam Goodman is a live chance in it. But as I said, if I had to put money on it, I'm not putting it on Sam. But look, You've got to be in there and have a crack, and that's what he's going to do. So all the best to Sam Goodman. See the Sam Newman or Saul Goodman, isn't it? Saul Goodman. All right. No, we'll go back to you. I can find you there. Jeez, we shouldn't be too far before we get out of this. All right, here we go. I feel like Sam is technically better than Nick Ball, but Ball's pressure and output on another level. Wish Sam just had a bit more power to give Ball something to think about. Cheering for him anyways, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I sort of agree, Naz, that power would be obviously a lot better than not having really any, which Sam doesn't really have. But look, I don't know. I think all it will take is for Sam just to maybe get his respect early. Nick Ball's not going to respect Sam Goodman at all, I wouldn't have thought. I think he's going to come out swinging. He's going to really try and get Sam Goodman out of there early. I don't think he'll really, or he doesn't really know much about him. He did say that his team hadn't watched any footage of Sam Goodman. Sam's just he's got to win a couple early rounds. He's got to get off to a good start. We see with all the, I suppose, the Aussie underdogs through the ages. We've had Jeff Horn in those first 5 or 6 rounds against Manny Pacquiao really put him on the back foot. We've had George Kambosos dropped Teofimo Lopez in the first round. Liam Paro again. And look, you could probably even liken this fight with Liam Paro's fight with Subriel Matias. Now, Subriel Matias is a beast. I think a better fighter than what Nick Ball is. No one really wanted a piece of Matias. And Liam Paro started strong, wasn't intimidated, got off some good combinations early, and just put Matias just on the back foot just a little bit. And that's what Sam Goodman's got to do. He's got to make Nick Ball pay coming in. He's got to land some good shots, not necessarily have to hurt him, but really just nail him early and get that respect off Nick Ball that if he gets in close and doesn't use any movement or jabs or whatever it might be to get inside, he's going to get tagged repeatedly. And that's what he's got to do, because if Sam doesn't give Nick Ball the respect that he deserves, the other way around, if Nick Ball doesn't give Sam, I'll go back, going around in circles there, I'll rephrase. They've both probably got to get respect, but if Sam just lets Nick Ball come at him and doesn't give him any in return, he's going to get bulldozed. So he's got to get the respect of Nick Ball, as I said, early and win some early rounds. So let's hope he does that. He might have to stand his ground for the first couple of rounds and really dig in, which is obviously not a great thing to do against someone like Nick Ball, but it's the only way I think he's got a chance. If he gets on the bike and starts to box early and doesn't dig in, then I just think it's going to be one-way traffic for the whole way, and I think Nick Ball stops Sam Goodman in the later round. So I hope I got that right in the end. Sort of got off track there a little bit. Sorry about that. I was looking at the next comment and forgot where it was. All right, Big J. Also saw Shannon O'Connell got a win the other day. Yes, on Saturday night. I heard that she's going to chase a rematch with Shanika. I hope not. She hasn't been the same since the Ebony fight. Oh, I agree but don't agree, Big J. I mean, geez, you're a long time retired, aren't you? I know she's been in a lot of wars. She's been hurt in a couple of those fights as well. She was stopped by Ebony. The fight with, who was the Kiwi girl that stopped her as well, who was a lot bigger than her, I think. I haven't got a problem with chasing the fights, BJ. I mean, I think she's got to just be particular with who she chases. And Shanika Johnson, she has beaten her. Let's not forget that. I know it was 4 years ago, but Shannon O'Connell beat Shanika Johnson. And I just think the style of Shanika, she's not a real big puncher. I know she got the better of, what's her name, in her last fight. But I just think overall, Shanika's not a big puncher. So I think Shannon wouldn't be too stressed about sort of going to war with Shanika Johnson. The thing in Shannon's favour, of course, is the fact that she's beaten Shanika might actually make Shanika want to fight her and avenge that loss. Or she might just say, you know what, I'm going to get the ultimate revenge and not give you a shot at the world titles and a good payday. Maybe that's her revenge. I don't know, but I haven't got a problem with it, Big J. Look, if she was going to fight a really strong girl who could punch, then okay. But I don't think Shanika Johnson holds that many fears for Shannon O'Connell. And really, when you think about it, the girls don't really knock each other around that much. So why not? If she's fit and capable and willing and everything else, why not let her go until she's 50? Until she's 50 if she has to. Now, also, I'm just waiting for the comment about the opponent on Saturday night. I think Shannon would be the first one to say that she wasn't exactly top shelf material, but it is what it is. She couldn't get another fight, and she just wanted to fight whoever was out there. She wants the Shanika Johnson. She wants the Sky Nicholson. She wants all those fighters, but unfortunately, if they see the risk being too big or too much more than the reward, then they're not going to fight her. But we will see. All right, Drew Keeley. It will be interesting to see how Moses Itauma goes against Dillian Whyte, given the hype around Itauma. I know styles make fights, but it will be interesting to see how he measures up. I'm expecting, Drew, that Dillian Whyte will give Moses Itauma probably the most frustrating fight of his career. Probably a little bit of an understatement. I think that will be the case. I think most people would agree. Dillian Whyte is cagey. He's big. He's strong. He can punch a little bit as well. I just think Moses Itauma, being that youthful, what is he, 20 years old, he's gonna really probably go after Dillian Whyte. But I've got a feeling this fight might be a little bit like, say, when Mike Tyson fought a Mitch Green or a Quick Tillis or one of those types of guys where they tied him up, they frustrated him, they wouldn't just stand there and let him, bowl these big punches at him and knock them out. They were pretty cagey. I've got a feeling this is the fight we're going to get on the weekend, mate. I think that Moses Itauma ends up winning the fight, but I think he's going to be frustrated. He's going to be tied up. He's going to be tagged a few times as well. I'm just not sure whether Dillian Whyte has got enough left to really make Moses Itauma pay for any errors that he might make. So I think it's going to be a tough one. I think it goes the distance, but I'm going to probably tip Moses Itauma in decision win. I'm just going to check, is it a 10-rounder or is it a 12-rounder? I'll just double check that. I'm assuming it's probably going to be a 12-rounder. It's probably got some title on the line. Yeah, 12-rounder. Okay, so it's for, it doesn't say it's for any belt whatsoever. So it's just a 12-rounder eliminator, I suppose. All right, so also on that card, by the way, Raymond Ford, Abraham Nova. That won't be a bad fight. Hergovich, who's he? Oh, David Adelier. That's how you pronounce it again, isn't it? That should be an okay fight. Not so familiar with the other fights on the card. But it's pay-per-view, by the way, on DAZN. Can't believe this. Isn't this what we signed up for DAZN for? Isn't this why we pay our monthly and yearly subscriptions? These are the type of cards that should be free. How are we paying pay-per-view? Well, I'm not going to pay for it. I'll wait till YouTube a couple of hours later. But how is this a pay-per-view event? Fair dinkum. I thought, yeah, as I said, DAZN was supposed to be, these type of events were what we were paying for. Anyway. All right, still with Drew. A lot of people are speculating about the quality of the undercard for Canelo versus Crawford. I'm not concerned about it. It will be good. If it will be good or bad, I'm just happy the event is on Netflix. Well, Drew, the event is free for starters, so I don't think we can complain too much. But I liken this fight a little bit to the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight from 2015. The undercard was shocking. And as we speak, I'm going to bring up that card because, I remember Lomachenko was on the card, and that is about it. And probably the only reason I remember that is because Jason was sparring and Andrew was sparring with Loma a week or two before that fight. Where are we? I'm going to bring that up there. So, look, end of the day, Drew, the fact that it's a free card and such a big main event, no one's going to give a toss about the undercard, I can assure you. Let's go back to 2015. So, on that undercard was Vasily Lomachenko. He won by 9th round stoppage over Gamaliel Rodriguez, that was actually a world title fight. I don't remember much about Rodriguez. On the undercard also was Leo Santa Cruz. And it's probably the only notable fight on there, really. So there's a couple of good fights on there, I suppose. But, yeah, look, I think if they were asking $60, $70, $80 for the card, Drew, I could probably understand people saying, well, hey, we want a good undercard. But having said that, I think we're all, in this case especially, we're signing up for the main event, not the card as a whole. A lot of those Riyadh season cards are for the whole card. This one is purely and solely for the main event. So I haven't got a problem with it. And especially the fact it's free, then no one should probably have a problem with this card. They are going to do at least one fight week card as well. The September 11th card is the Michael Hunter and Big Baby Miller, the fight. So that will probably headline that card. But yeah, I'm not too stressed about it. Drew, I know a lot of people, as you say, they're speculating about the quality. But again, I don't think Turki Al Sheikh or anyone out there is saying, geez, we better put together a big card here or a great card because we might, cop the wrath of the boxing fans. No. Again, I'll say it's a free card on Netflix with a magnificent main event. I don't think we've got any argument whatsoever to complain about the undercard, if I'm being honest, Drew, but I'm sure there'll be some people out there. All right. Now, I'm going to jump ahead here. I think I've gone the wrong order, but we'll see. Brock might define average, but I also think even an aging Thurman would have given Nikita similar treatments. This is obviously about Brock Jarvis maybe fighting Nikita Tszyu. Look, yeah, Brock is an average fighter, Drew. He's not a world-class fighter, but, not everyone is. But I've got to probably agree with you there, mate. I reckon that night, Thurman probably, would he have done the same to Nikita? Maybe. I just think Nikita has got more skill than Brock Jarvis, though. Brock is very reckless. Just comes in. He sort of fights like he did when he was a 122-pounder or 126-pounder. He fights straight ahead and tries to overpower his opponents, and he tends to forget that he's not a 122-pounder anymore. He's now a 160-pound fighter, and you can't do that against those guys. You're not a weight bully at that weight. And I just think it was a kamikaze approach against Thurman who just stepped it up and got him out of there. Nikita, I know he's had a lot of close shaves and he can be careless and reckless and everything else, but he's also a very, very, when he wants to be, a very technically profound boxer with some very, very good skills. I remember watching him as an amateur, just a brilliant young fighter he was, and you didn't see the risks that he takes now back then. So maybe he's got to tweak a few things. But I got a feeling, while I think Thurman would have beaten Nikita, I don't think you would have seen him get bombed out like that happened to Brock Jarvis. But you never know. We might get that opportunity to see it down the track. I doubt it. But as I said, you never know. This is the first comment you were talking about. I heard you talking about the realistic potential for Brock Jarvis and Nikita. Although Nikita goes in as a strong favourite, I honestly think this fight could be very, very competitive. I do too, Drew. And I said this morning on Walking Boxing, I think it'll be a good fight. I think I'd still back Nikita to win that fight, but as we've all seen, Nikita can get tagged and he can get hurt. And while Brock Jarvis is a little reckless and leaves himself open, he can also throw some bombs as well. So it'd be an entertaining fight. And also said this morning, I would much rather this fight, Brock Jarvis versus Nikita Tszyu, than Michael Zeraffa versus Nikita Tszyu, because I just don't think either fighter's hearts are in it, even though he's been a little bit of back and forth today, especially from Nikita in relation to Michael. Again, I just think it's a little bit manufactured, and I don't think they're really that keen on fighting each other. They probably will because of the money involved, but Brock Jarvis and Nikita, I think, would be the more entertaining fight. Still with Drew. All right, you got a bit on your mind tonight. There are strong rumours of AJ versus Fake Paul being in advanced negotiations. Although it's about the money for both guys, it's a no-win situation for AJ and kind of makes boxing look like a joke. Yeah, I'm with you there, Drew. And look, the rumours are getting stronger and stronger. Eddie Hearn himself said it was probably a 50-50 chance that the fight happens. I hope not. I don't know whether this is just more sort of baiting from Jake Paul to get us all to bite and maybe buy into his whole charade even more. But surely when Eddie Hearn goes to AJ and says, AJ, I got the next fight for you, mate, it's Jake Paul. Surely Anthony Joshua would say, mate, get out of my office. I don't want to talk about a fight with Jake Paul. Even though it would be a massive money fight, would it really be that much more money than AJ fighting anyone else? I mean, he could fight anyone in the heavyweight division. And I'm not talking Fury or Usyk or a Parker, or maybe a Parker, but definitely not a Fury or an Usyk. He could easily fight anyone in that division and probably get a $50 million payday, or close to. That's how big a name he still is. So is Jake Paul really going to bring any more to the equation? Can he really be paid more than, or generate more than a $50 million payday? I'm not so sure. I would think that AJ would be saying to Eddie Hearn, you do whatever it takes to get Tyson Fury in the ring. Go around and give him a foot massage if you have to. Get him in the ring. That's what I'd be saying if I was AJ to Eddie Hearn. If it's not him, then why not go for the Joseph Parkers of the world? I don't know. Again, I don't know how Jake Paul generates more money than any of those guys. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit ignorant to the pull of Jake Paul. But I would think that there's two things here. I would think that it'd obviously be big, more so in the United Kingdom. I know there'll be a lot of American fans, the young fans for Jake Paul over there as well. But remember, they'd have to pay for the fight. So you've got the real boxing fans who are the AJ fans. I reckon you'd have a few that would go, "No, I don't care what's happening with this fight. I'm not going to pay to see it. I'm not going to pay to watch it." There'd be those real hardcore boxing fans. Then there'd be the other boxing fans who might buy it, but it's not a big enough fight and wouldn't bother with it. Then you got the Jake Paul. He hasn't got real boxing fans behind him. He's just got all the fellow YouTubers and out there. So are they going to be familiar with AJ as well? It's a hard one. This is not Mike Tyson, remember. And even Chavez was probably more well-known to some of the people over there than what AJ would be. So, I don't know. I just don't think it makes financial sense, Drew. But, hey, what do I know? Eddie and all the boys over there would have a better indication. But I would hope that all things considered as well, Drew, that AJ himself would say, you know what? I don't care if I get paid an extra $10 million or $20 million for fighting Jake Paul. I love the sport, I respect the sport, and I'm not going to do this to the boxing fans out there that have supported me and live and die by this sport every week. I'm not going to do it to them, because if he fights Jake Paul, AJ's legacy suffers as well. And I reckon even if he went out there and ironed Jake Paul out in 1 or 2 rounds, I still think the boxing fans would look at this as a bit of a laughing stock. They really would. This is not Francis Ngannou, who, even though a lot of boxing fans, including myself, really had no idea who Francis Ngannou was as far as the UFC goes. I think we all knew of his background, knew he was a UFC heavyweight champion, so gave him his due respect. And AJ did what he was supposed to do in that fight. I don't think Jake Paul gets the same. But look, I think that would really bring AJ's legacy down. I really do. So, having said that, I would still love to see him iron out Jake Paul, but I don't know. We will see. Drew, let's hope sanity prevails. All right, I get that for one reason, says Drew, or another, a groundswell of people aren't keen on Tim versus Zeraffa. But for me, it's the only plausible fight for Tim that captures my imagination at the moment. Yeah, I'm with you, Drew, but there's got to be a time and a place. I don't think the time is right for Tim. Great time for Michael Zeraffa. Fantastic time for him, which is obviously why he's been pretty vocal about wanting the fight. So, yeah, I think it is for him. As I said, great timing for him. But for Tim, he needs to take the rest of the year off, start next year. I would say have 2 tune-up fights, then look at a Michael Zeraffa, and if he gets past him as well, then maybe look to step back up to world level and see how you go. I think if Tim fought Zeraffa next, I'd give Zeraffa a very, very good chance of beating Tim. More so for the mental problems that Tim would have rather than the physical. I still think Tim is a far superior fighter, but timing is everything. And I think with the mindset of Tim going into that next fight with someone like Zeraffa, who would 100% back himself to get in Tim's head and get him out of there in the ring, I just think if Tim... look, as most of you know, I've been very, very supportive of Tim's team through all the decisions that have been made, even with the losses in the last couple of years. If I was in a position, I would have made exactly the same calls. If the management team and promotional team of Tim signed up for Zeraffa next, I would 100% agree with all those people out there knocking Tim's team, because this is the last fight he needs at this moment is Michael Zeraffa. As I said, I think he's a far superior fighter than Michael, but timing is right now for Michael. So if I was Tim, as I said, I'd had probably 2 tune-up fights, maybe February, March next year, have another one mid-year. And I'm talking the Joey Spencer types. And then fight Zeraffa maybe towards the end of 2026. And by that stage, he'll be 31 still, maybe close to 32. Still got some time. And then get past that. And then, and only then, would I go back to world level. Because I think if he goes any time before 3 fights, I think we're back here talking about another knockout loss for Tim. So, on the flip side as well, though, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see Tim versus Michael, but I'm looking through Tim's eyes, and Michael's, I suppose. And I just don't think the time is right for Tim at the moment at all. I get it that it's a big money fight, and it's got everyone's imagination, and a lot more people out there would give Michael Zeraffa a chance to win. But if Tim's team is anywhere near as good as they should be, then they don't take the Zeraffa fight next. No way. All right, Tony. John Manu for a big W. Remember this man's name. I really think he can go to another level. Outstanding. Yes, Tony. Very good fighter is John Manu, and he just had a win, didn't he? Let me just bring that up. I think I said last week he's ranked number 13. Yeah, he is. 13 with the IBF. And who knows, he might even go higher. I'll just bring him up there. John the Beast Manu. All right, so 16-1-1, and he won last week. Okay, against Alexander, what's his name? Deviatov, a 7th round stoppage, retired in the corner. Well, there you go. All right, well, so that's his second fight for the year. Okay. Yeah, well, I think you might see John Manu in the all 4 organisations soon, Tony, and possibly challenge for a world title down the track. And he doesn't get a lot of attention, John, but I think he's a lot better than maybe a lot of the other prospects that we are talking about at the moment. So let's hope he gets an opportunity to prove his worth, Tony. And I'm sure when he gets that opportunity, he'll do well. The only loss he had was back in 2023. He fought Kurt Scobie in America, in where's that? Topeka. And was stopped in the second round 4 times in round 2. All right, Kurt Scobie, he's now 17-1. So after he beat John, he won his next 2, then was KO'd himself by Dakota Linger, who had a 13-6-3 record. But since then, he has reeled off 4 straight knockout wins. So, yeah, I'm with you there, Tony. Let's hope there's big things ahead for John Manu. Where are we? Big J. All right, this is about Shannon. It's the hardest thing for any professional is to know when to retire. I myself was forced to retire from the army due to injury. It was hard to accept, but after a long rehab, I had no choice but to retire. Yeah, I get that, mate. I mean, you're a soldier. So if you've got injuries, I get why you would need to retire. And as the Americans say, mate, thanks for your service, all that sort of stuff. But as far as Shannon goes, yes, she's had a lot of injuries, but looks like she's over it now. Look, I just think in Shannon's case and with the girls, as I said before, it's not like they get really knocked around too much. So I just think while her shoulder is good and she still feels good, and she looked good the other night, I know, again, it wasn't the best opposition, but I still think she looked like the Shannon from 3-4 years ago who beat Shanika. So why not just keep going? I just think, as I said before, you're a long time retired. Keep going until you can't go anymore. The Ebony fight, I must admit, I thought she was done after that. And even to some extent, was it, what's her name? Miyamoto, is that her name? Who stopped Shannon as well? A lot bigger girl, though, I suppose. But I must admit, I thought she was done after that. And then she comes back. She's beaten Jazzy Parr. She's beaten this girl on the weekend. Why not have a crack while you can? That's my opinion anyway. All right, Glenn, you disagree with me about Moses Itauma. You say he absolutely smokes Whyte. He won't make round 6. Well, we'll see. I just think Dillian Whyte is a big, awkward, experienced guy, Glenn. We'll see. We'll see. If Moses can steamroll Dillian Whyte, well, he's gonna convert a lot of people. I still think he's a good young fighter, but I'm far from convinced that he's the next Mike Tyson. G'day, pound for pound away there, mate. All right, Big J, another one about Shannon. She really needs to pull the pin. Nothing but love for Shannon, but every time she has a world title fight, she's been beaten and beaten badly. It's time to call it a day before it's too late. I won't say she's been beaten badly there, Big J. She's had a few world title fights now, hasn't she? I won't go back into it. I remember back in the day, 10, 11, 12 years ago even, when she fought Diana Prazak in Melbourne. But I think she went up 2 or 3 divisions in that fight as well. I think that fight was... Actually, now I've said that, I'm going to have to bring it up. I think it was for the WBC Super Featherweight title, and Shannon is a bantamweight. So she's also had, 35 fights. So that fight, so she lost to, where was it? All right. So her second loss was in Korea. She lost to Dana Prazak. There it is. WBC Super Featherweight World title. So she was stopped by the bigger girl in Dana Prazak, who was a very, very good fighter. She had a WBA title fight as well. That was against, and I won't pick it up, of course, on here on BoxRec because they are banned. She had a bad knockout to Helen Joseph, what was that, 8 years ago. Marcella Acuna was it's for the IBF Super Bantamweight title. That was in 2017. And I think apart from the Ebony Bridges fight, that's the last world title fight she's had. But look, as I said, mate, she's her own boss, her own person. If she can still get in good nick and have a crack, I say good luck to her. What's that, Big J, about the chump McAllister? Still knock him out. Okay. All right. Where are we? There we go. Still no undercard announced for Bud Crawford. That's from Eminem. I did look at that actually today, Eminem, and you're right. There is no undercard yet. But again, I don't think anyone really cares. Can't find the Manu fight from the weekend on YouTube yet. Keen to see it. Yeah, I'd say it'll be up pretty soon, Eminem. I'm not sure. Was it actually streamed? I didn't really see anything for it. I'm just going to type in John again. I want to see who else was on that card. Here it is, John Manu. Tell you what, the guy who fought and lost to looked like he was a big unit too. So also on that card, anyone of note that I know? No, I don't really know anyone else on that card, but it was promoted by Rob Fogarty. Doing really good things is Rob Fogarty. Glenn, how the hell does Brock keep getting these fights? He defines average. Well, it pays to, I suppose, have the matinee idol looks, Glenn, and Jeff Fennick in your corner definitely helps. And look, he's marketable. And look, everything, aside from everything else, No Limit don't really have much else, do they, as far as these marketable type of fighters? And look, Brock, he showed against Thurman, he can talk it up a little bit as well. Loves to brawl. I must admit, Glenn, I was a little concerned with what I saw even from Brock against Adrian Rodriguez, who was not there to win. He was just in there for a payday, and you could tell he wasn't in shape, and physically and mentally wasn't there. And Brock, knocked him out, as he should have. As he probably should have done a little bit earlier, although Adrian's a tough competitor, a veteran, a journeyman. But I was just worried about what I saw in that fight, so it was no real surprise that Thurman took him out the way he did. Although, having said that, Thurman has never really done that in his career to many fighters. So the fact he got Brock out of there so easily, it's a concern. And Brock's taken a lot of beatings in his career, even with some of his wins. Who can forget that fight? His first fight in the States, his one and only fight with Matchroom, or second fight because he got knocked out by Liam Paro. But after that fight, you could probably imagine Eddie Hearn saying, "No, we don't want this guy," because he had a life and death struggle with a real journeyman. So he just keeps getting the fights, Glenn, purely and solely because he's entertaining. That's probably about it. But I just hope they don't keep feeding him to all these types of fighters. He keeps getting knocked around, and then in 10 years' time, as they say, he's licking windows. We don't want it to happen to Brock. I'm hoping that Jeff Fennick's back in the mix and he'll look after Brock and steer him in the right direction. But does Brock want to be told? Because, as we know, he didn't really like Jeff saying he needs to be in a division or two below where he is now, which is what caused a lot of the rift between the two. Don't know. He seems like he's matured a lot. He's his own boss now, 27 years of age. But I am a little bit concerned, Glenn, at the amount of punishment he still takes. Oh, that's Naz. Good stuff there. Naz, Eminem, I recently saw a comment from George Kambosos saying he's in talks for another world title fight. That's news to me, Eminem. Considering he's not ranked by any organisation now, no, that doesn't really mean a lot, does it? But who would he possibly fight at 140? He's not going to go down to 135. Well, let's have a quick look at the division. He's not getting another shot at Hitchens. He's not getting a shot at Matias. He wouldn't have thought wow, geez, is it Lopez? But Lopez surely has got bigger fights than George Kambosos. I don't know. I sort of heard that George was maybe going to have one sort of fight against his biggest opponent as he could get, a name that might want to fight him on the way up or whatever, and try and get the biggest fight he could. But it was never mentioned about a world title fight. I'd be staggered if George Kambosos got another world title fight without earning it, Eminem. But having said that, I mean, the sport is just full of fights like that at the moment, of fighters not getting shots when they don't deserve it. The fact that George is coming off a pretty one-sided beat-down stoppage loss to Richardson Hitchens, though, Eminem, I'm not sure they'll be able to sell that fight. But hey, good luck to George. I'm a big fan of George. I so admire what he's done for Aussie boxing, but I just couldn't see it. We'll see. All right, Naz. I feel like everyone, me included, are convincing ourselves Whyte is a tough fight for Moses. His last fight against Tszyu was horrible. Moses will show respect earlier than end it whenever he wants. Yeah, look, I hope so, Naz. And even though I said that I think Whyte gives Moses a lot of problems, I'm sort of hoping that he's the fighter that we think he is, and he goes out there and irons Dillian Whyte out in 3 or 4 rounds. But I just think Dillian Whyte is a big, strong, experienced guy, and I'm intrigued to see how Moses handles him. Because if he can knock him out convincingly, then we've got another hot prospect on our hands. If he can't, then maybe we've got to ask a few questions about the worth of Moses Itauma. I'm in the minority with Itauma, says Eminem. Not sold on him yet. Good test versus Whyte. I'm in the same camp, Eminem. I am not convinced at all with Itauma yet. And this is his chance to show people like yourself and me and try and convince us that he's a real deal. Because it's like any young fighter, Eminem. You've got to prove your worth. And so far, I mean, we've seen it so many times in history. Young up-and-coming prospects looks good. As soon as they step up, they get knocked out. So let's hope we're wrong and he is a real deal. But I'm with you, mate. I'm not sold on him yet. Yeah, I did see that Eminem Paro fight news soon. Yeah, something's brewing there, Eminem. I've heard a few different rumors about Paro, and they're all good fights for him. So, and I think he's ready to step back up. He looked so good in his last fight against, who was it? I won't look it up now, but the American. But he looked sensational in that fight. And he wasn't a bad fighter either. He had a bit of cred anyway. And Liam made it look easy. So, yeah, I'm hoping he gets a massive fight, Eminem. And I still think he's capable of some big things. Did I get you before, Naz, with this one? I feel like Sam is technically better. I think we went over that one before. Thanks, OG. Thanks for tuning in there, mate. G'day, bacon and eggs. I gave him $1. Love it. There's Richard. Hey, what's that? Dillian Whyte is no pushover. If Itauma puts on a clinic, then his stocks have gone up. What you don't get with Dillian is a bad performance and definitely swings to or for the fences. Yep, that's what I'm hoping we get, Richard. I hope Dillian Whyte goes out there and says, all right, well, let's just go for it. Let's see what this young kid's got. And if he can beat Moses Itauma, who knows what can happen for him after that. But, look, I don't think he beats Itauma. I don't. But I just think he could frustrate him and make him go 10 or 12, frustrating rounds with Dillian Whyte. All right, Jules. Does anyone think Goodman is being undervalued going into the ball fight? Understandably not the favourite, but 7-1 odds to win by points or decision. Geez, I didn't know it was that long, Jules. Look, I'll be honest with you, though, even at 7-1 odds, I'm still not taking Sam Goodman. I just think over there, I mean, it's not in England, is it? It's in Riyadh. So, look, it's on neutral turf, but Nick Ball is well and truly the A side, the home fighter, I suppose you could say. First fight for Sam outside of Australia. I don't know. I'm more hoping than expecting a great performance from Sam Goodman, Jules. But hey, we've seen it in the past. All a fighter like Sam Goodman needs sometimes is an opportunity, and he's got it. It's a world title fight, and look at the doors it could open if he wins this fight. It's just amazing. And all of a sudden, he'll have all the other champions in the divisions, which are Angelo Leo, Steve Fulton, and Rafael Espinoza. But more importantly, someone like a Junto Nakatani or Naoya Inoue looking at that 126-pound division and going, this is the guy that we think we can target. And all of a sudden, he's the man in demand. After being shunned by those guys, all of a sudden he'll be in the sights of those fighters. So a lot riding on it. Look, the thing I will say, Jules, I don't think it matters if he comes up short on the weekend. I really don't. I think he's still got a lot left. He can get another world title shot down the track, no problems. He's got to put in a good performance, though, and if he does, he'll maintain his rankings. and maybe get another shot down the track. But I don't think it's curtains for Sam if he can't beat Nick Ball. I mean, Nick Ball, in my opinion, is, well, I was going to say the best in the division. I still think maybe Fulton might be the best. But either way, it would definitely open up the eyes of a lot of people, a lot of fighters, a lot of promoters, all that sort of stuff, and especially Turkey El Sheikh. And he could be in line for some big, big paydays. So a lot riding on the line for Sam Goodman. I don't necessarily think he has to win, just has to put on a really good performance. Yeah, and as we spoke about John Manu before, hopefully he can have a go at starting to climb the world ranks. Yeah, well, he's already in there, Naz, so let's hope he can keep climbing. Lynden, have you made the decision to go to the Ozboxing Hall of Fame in Brisbane, August 30th? No, well, I have made a decision, Glenn. I won't be there, mate. Heading out a week later to Vegas for the Canelo Crawford fight. So, no, mate, I'd like to get up there. I've been to, actually, I missed last year. Before that, I think I'd been to the previous 3 in Melbourne. But it's just a bit hard to get away at the moment, mate, especially with the trip. And actually on that night, I'm actually going to be, if you're a Carlton supporter, get to, where is it? I haven't got it on my phone. It's a Carlton function. If you're not an AFL fan, it won't matter to you. But the Jumper Punch boys, I'll see if I can find the link. But it's a night with some Carlton legends, and it's a panel and all that sort of stuff. I do sponsor the show, so I'm going to be there for the night. So if you're a Carlton fan, look up the Jumper Punch on Instagram, YouTube, all that sort of stuff, and go to the function in Melbourne. They've got Brendan Favola, Brad Pearce, Heath Scotland. So it should be a really, really good night. So that's where I'll be on August the 30th there, mate. Now, we've got a super chat, and it's from D-Style. Hi, D-Style. What's good, Lynden? All good, mate. And I hope you had a good show this morning, mate. Apologies that I couldn't make it. But again, guys, if you haven't subscribed to D-Style Boxing, make sure you do, because one of the best boxing channels on YouTube. So thanks very much, D-Style. All right, Furian Survivor. Hey, Lynden, love your show, mate. No worries, mate. Thank you for tuning in. I think Whyte is a shot fighter. I think Itauma's speed and southpaw stance will be way too much. I think it ends early and brutally. Okay, well, looks like there's a few people in different camps, mate. I'm with you. I'd love to see it, even though I think Whyte will give him some problems. I would love to see Itauma go out there and make a statement. I really would, because I'm hoping he's the fighter that we all think he is, or hope he is. So, yeah, I'm with you there, mate. By no means am I hoping that it's a frustrating night for Itauma. I think he does go out, or hope he does go out there and, as you say there, ends it early and brutally. Let's hope Dillian Whyte comes out in one piece, though, and safely. But, yeah, I'm with you, mate. I hope that's the case. I just think Dillian Whyte is just one of those fighters who could cause him some problems. But we will see on the weekend. Glenn, I'll be going. Good stuff, mate. Great to see you supporting the Hall of Fame. And commiserations, by the way, or condolences to Damien Membry, who is the backbone of that organisation, organises all the Hall of Fame dinners. Unfortunately, his dad, Brian Membry, passed away last night. So a true ornament to the sport here in Australia was Brian Membry as a fighter, an artist. He'd done some great sketches over the years. I actually got 3 of them here in my house back in the day of Lester Ellis, Jeff Fennick, and a composite of about, I think it was at the time, it was all the Aussie boxing world champions up at that point, which is probably about the late 80s. I got that. I've also got a book with all his artwork in it, and just a real icon of Aussie boxing. So condolences to Damien and his family, because they're doing it hard at the moment. They were like best mates, Damien and Brian. So hope he's doing well. All right, Eminem. The Zone this Wednesday evening from 6:30, WBC Grand Prix. Let's go, Dylan Biggs. Is that this week? Okay, I didn't know that, Eminem. Didn't he just fight not long ago? Give me a look. Dylan Biggs. Doing great things. I must admit, Eminem, after Nikita outclassed him really and get a number on him, I thought that might be it for Dylan Biggs. But you're right. August 13th, which is, Wednesday. All right. So it's against Petro Frolov. He's 12-1. So he did fight, only a couple of months ago. 7 weeks ago to be exact. Not sure whether they've got all the fights on there. There's a few. Yeah, looks like there's about a dozen fights on that card. All right, well, guys, if you didn't know that, tune into the Zone on Wednesday night from 6:30. So that's Adelaide time. So it'll be probably 7 o'clock Melbourne time. I think we are ahead, I think. Either way, check it out, guys. Yeah, let's go Dylan Biggs. Yeah, good stuff. Jules, yep. Keen for your thoughts on the recent deaths in Japan. The gold standard for boxing commissions, but lots of recent tragedies. Matchmaking, culture, weight cutting, and bad luck. I think a little bit of everything, Jules. And I'm walking boxing this morning. I did comment about this, and thank you to Justin Footet, who commented on the video yesterday. I did the comments I made about it. He spent some time in Japan as a trainer and said, in his opinion, it's more weight cutting. He said all the fighters over there really boil down in weight, so that's got to have a massive thing to say in proceedings. Culture, yeah, maybe it's about fight till the death. Maybe that's a thing. Bad luck's definitely part of it as well, Jules, and maybe even matchmaking. But I have seen a couple instances where I think the winner has been hospitalised, so maybe it's not that either. But I think it's a little bit of all those things, Jules. But either way, the world, or the spotlight of the world of boxing, is now on Japan, and they'll have to do something about it. And I don't think reducing the fights from 12 rounds to 10 is going to do it. They need to do more. And I did say in the video as well, the walking boxing, that maybe it's just education. It's saying to these trainers and maybe the promoters encouraging the fighters to maybe go up a division. Again, we're only talking about 4 pounds, under 2 kilos. So I just think it's more so saying, well, from that perspective, even a lot of the trainers and promoters saying to the guys, putting them up to go up a division. Excuse me. And maybe just maybe don't leave them in there too long. If they're getting smacked around, don't expect them to be, those Japanese warriors from the past. Throw the towel in or stop the fight. But not good, Jules. And I think, as I said, with the eyes of the world on Japan, they're going to have to do something. Because, I mean, we could have 3 fighters from that card that die, which is just, I think, the first probably time in history that 3 fighters from the same card have died. And I think there's another 1 or 2 that had hematomas or something as well. So not good, Jules, and let's hope they clean it up. All right, Drew, after the hugely disappointing fallouts of both in-away fights, I'm really happy for Sam. The ball fight was the best possible outcome for him, giving the in-away pullouts. Yeah, I'm with you there, Drew. And look, I think you've got to be in the position of Sam somewhat to understand what would have been going through his mind when he had those cuts. Now, I'm not saying I was anywhere near that, but I remember even when I was fighting, to have an opponent pull out the week of the fight, or not that I was ever injured, but lots of opponents pull out or you can't get a fight. It's just devastating. Imagine being in Sam Goodman's position where he's got $1 million on the line, a world title fight on the line, fighting the top 2 or 3 pound for pound fighter in the world on the line, and he gets cut. I was just so devastated for Sam, because in some small way I had just an inkling of an idea of what he was going through. And by no means the extent that he had, of course, but just an inkling of what would have been going through his mind. So I thought, Jesus, as devastated as I was, imagine timing that by 100 with how devastated Sam would have been. So, and I'm with you there, Drew. And that's why I think a lot of people sort of said that it was a bad fight for Sam to take. Why would it be a bad fight for Sam to take? It's a world title fight. Doesn't matter. I mean, the guy was willing to take on Naoya Inoue. Do you really think Nick Ball's going to scare Sam Goodman? I don't think so. So I'm with you there, Drew. It was the best possible outcome. And as I said before, if he can get past Nick Ball, the doors that will open for him will just be numerous, and some big fights there for him. So let's hope he can do it. And like you, mate, I'm happy that he's got the fight. I still don't think he wins the fight, but I'm glad he's got the opportunity, and we'll be hoping like hell he can get that win on Sunday morning. Oh, come on, Eminem. Get it right there, mate. 4:30 for the Grand Prix. Now, just let me confirm. Where is it? Oh, you've probably already done it for me, but where is it? Adelaide. All right. Okay, so they're half an hour behind. So it's 4:30 in Adelaide, or it'll be 5 o'clock here in Victoria and the eastern states, to the rest of the eastern states. So it'll be 5 o'clock. So thanks, Eminem. What do we got there? 43 people. What are we up to? 54, according to my account, if I'm looking at now. They're pound for pound, but all good, guys. I appreciate all all you people that are tuning in at the moment. All right, I honestly believe Sam can box Bull's ears off, says Jules. Don't stand in front of him. Bull better footwork, but Sam's footwork is world class. Rais Alim possessed similar qualities to Bull. Yeah, well, that was a really good win for Sam, Jules. He hasn't really put a foot wrong when you think about it, Sam Goodman. I mean, he's won pretty much all his fights convincingly in the last couple of years. So the only worry, Jules, I will say, though, is that he got cut again in his last fight. It was a different cut, but the fact he can open up, it's got to be a worry for him and his team going into that fight, because whether it's headbutts or shoulders or elbows, yeah, not good, mate. But again, let's hope Sam can get the job done. All right, Naz. If Tyson Fury comes back, he'll either fight for legacy and chase Usyk again for the fans and fight... Sorry, what's that? He'll either fight for legacy and chase Usyk again, or for the fans and fight Joshua, which I hope happens. But yeah, I'm not excited by an Usyk fight at all, Naz. I'm really hoping it's the Anthony Joshua fight. And I just cannot believe that even if Tyson Fury might be sitting at home thinking, yeah, I'm not quite really into the fight. Geez, if you're getting $100 million payday, well, mate, get motivated. I mean, if I was his wife or someone else, I'd be saying, Tyson, you get motivated. If I was the little voice on his shoulder that we all hear doing different things, if I was that voice, I'd be saying, Tyson, let's go, mate. It's $100 million. Million. Wow, just crazy. So I'm hoping he does. I'm hoping he does. But he's running out of time, Naz, because Joshua will have to take a fight pretty soon. And if he does take a fight, and let's again hope it's not Jake Paul, but if that's towards the end of the year, it might be towards the end of 2026 that he fights again, or at least July, August, September next year. It's a long time for Tyson Fury to be out. And the longer he's out, the harder it's going to be to come back. So let's hope he can get motivated. So, but again, I think he's got 100 million reasons to get motivated. So let's hope he comes to his senses, Naz. But great for his legacy. Yep. I just don't want either of those fighters, especially, look, Anthony Joshua wants to fight. That's a given. I would hate that Tyson Fury sitting back in 20 years' time going, geez, what would have happened if I had fought AJ? And how popular would he be if he was the reason why that fight never happened? I think his popularity and legacy would suffer big time with the English boxing fans and to some extent the world boxing fans if he didn't give us a Joshua fight. So I understand they're both not in their prime, but neither was Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. Neither was Hagler and Leonard. We didn't care. Neither was Tyson and Lewis. We just wanted the fight. So let's get it. All right, Naz, if it's for money, I wonder if he'll wait till his Netflix series and doco drop and make him even more famous in the US and then fight Jake Paul on Netflix for a bag. Yeah. Just Tyson Fury talking about, don't even mention him with Jake Paul. That would probably make more sense than Anthony Joshua fighting Jake Paul, wouldn't it? Imagine the circus that'd be. Holy shit. The Paul family and the Fury family, geez. But yeah, I only found out about the documentary the other day, Naz. I wasn't aware that he had another one coming. We've seen the mini series they did on Tyson on Netflix, which was fantastic. But as I only found out about the doco the other day. But yeah, it might just be the timing, Naz. They wait for the documentary to come out, sign him up for Netflix, and then comes the Jake Paul fight. So there's always a reason for it, mate. So let's see. All right, Glenn, he's a bit of a skeptic. He says Ball is going to walk through Sam. Yeah, well, we'll see, Glenn. Let's hope you're wrong there, mate. It's the fittest I've seen Whyte look in years. Hit bacon and eggs. Yeah. I haven't really seen much of him in training, if I'm being honest, mate. So thanks for letting us in on that. But we'll see you again on Sunday, won't we? Richard, I know she plays footy, but does Taylor Harris still train? Yeah, I think the last fight she had, Richard, I think was a very harsh reality check of boxing not being a game, mate, because I'm just looking at her record now. So she's 8-1-1. She hasn't fought for 2 years since she got smacked around by Millicent Agbo-Bullen. I think that's how you pronounce it. Up until then, she'd had fights against girls. There's one debut, 0-1, 0-1, 1-2, 3-4-1. Another debut, 0-2, 1-4, 3-3. So she hadn't actually fought anyone with a winning record, and she'd actually fought the same girl 3 times. The other one was a reality star in that, Renee Gartner. So she hadn't fought anyone remotely resembling an up to standard fighter there, Richard. And she was belted by Millicent Agbo Bullen. I think that's how I pronounce it again. And she hasn't been seen since, mate. So I think she's woken up to the fact that it's a tough gig. And she's gone back to play footy. I think she's still at the Melbourne Footy Club. She was with the Mighty Blues there for a few years, but apparently didn't like to train, and she liked to do social media posts and all that during training and all that sort of stuff. So they kicked her to the curb, and now she's with Melbourne. And hey, good luck to her. She actually won the premiership, I think, a couple of years ago. So good on her. But I'm not sure about the boxing side of things, Richard. But it was just a classic case of just being fed spud after spud after spud thing. And she's thinking, oh, gee, how good is this? At one stage, she's talking about, I think, fighting Clarissa Shields for the world title. This is the shit that happens in this country, by the way. Probably the same advisors who were advising Jake Paul, to be honest. But the people in her corner saying that she was capable of beating Clarissa Shields, they should probably have their heads read. But I'm glad that it almost happened when it did, because even though she was towed up, she wasn't hurt badly. And let's hope she might have woken up to herself, Richard, because it would have ended very badly for her. All right, Andy. Super chat, $10. Thank you very much, Andy. Really appreciate it, mate. Good luck to Sammy Goodman. Stick and move, Sammy. Stick and move. Hold when you have to, but box. Subscribe, share, and smash that like button. Thanks very much, Andy. Really appreciate it there, mate. And I didn't mention before, thanks, D-Style, for the $2. Sorry, man, I didn't mention the amount, mate. So I really appreciate it. Sorry, I've lost my spot now. Where are we? Well, was it what we're talking about? Taylor Harris, yep. All right, Ado, 12 rounds, Itauma, Whyte, no way that's going the distance. Well, we'll see, Ado. I just think my rationale behind it all is if Dillian Whyte can survive the first maybe 6 rounds, we haven't seen Itauma past, what's been his longest fight these last? Let's have a quick look. Moses Itauma. Hang on, let's have a look. I don't think he's gone that far in any of his fights, has he? So what is he? 12-0 with 10 knockouts. Okay. When was his fight? So he's gone 6 rounds before. He's gone 6 rounds before. That's it. I just think if he can get past 6 rounds, this is Dillian Whyte, then we'll just see what Itauma's got. He's going to gas. I think what will happen, he'll try and go for the big knockout early. Excuse me. And if he can't get it, he might punch himself out, and then we've got to fight. Those last 6 rounds, you just never know. So, is it going the distance? Who knows? Again, I hope Itauma gets the signature win, but again, Whyte is a very cagey guy. All right, Drew. There is a lot of talk of an immediate rematch if Crawford defeats Canelo, but I'm not so certain. Canelo never followed up his previous defeat against Bivol with a rematch. A little bit different in this case, though, Drew. I think when he lost to Bivol, he thought 175. Yeah, no, thank you. I think that's what it was. I think he was surprised at the strength and maybe power of a big, strong, elite 175 pounder. I know he fought Kovalev, but Kovalev was way past his best, and I don't think actually turned up to win that fight. I think he was just there for a payday and knew his position in that fight, and I don't think he even really tried to win Kovalev. I think he was just waiting to get knocked out. So Bivol, on the other hand, 100% obviously turned up to win, and I just think Canelo, I don't even think Canelo is a natural 168 pounder. I think he's a natural 160 pounder. So to have 15 pound, what's that, about 7 kilos of a big, strong guy throwing, constant combinations of hard punches at you. I just think Canelo said, nah, the 175 pound division, not for me. Not at this stage anyway. And that's why he didn't pursue the Bivol rematch. As for Crawford, though, I think if Terence Crawford beat Canelo, he would be extremely embarrassed by that loss. Pretty much a 147 pounder coming up to beat him. He's going to want that rematch straight away. So I just think there's a little bit of a difference there, Drew. And I think he'll want that fight 100%, the rematch. If Canelo wins, there'll be no rematch, unless it's disputed maybe. But if Crawford pulls it off, I think there'll be 100% a rematch, mate. All right, Glenn, regarding Dillian Whyte. Fury stopped him with an uppercut. Moses hits way harder and will find Whyte 6 rounds tops. Okay, yep, we will see. Different styles again, though, Glenn. But, yeah, no, you make a good point. Naz agrees. Once the respect is gone, Moses will put the hammer down. Yep. Glenn says activity matters. Moses has been busy and Whyte very inactive, probably avoiding drug tests. Yeah, maybe. All right, Naz says, frustrating when fights between a genuine champion in Buckram and a legit mandatory in Lubin is ignored by promoters, but they line up to put Jake Paul on. That's boxing, though, I guess. Well, that's boxing in the new age, Naz. And again, I commented about this the other day that, yeah, Buckram Murtazaliev finally has an opponent, number one challenger, Erickson Lubin, and they can't get a promoter to put it on. I must admit, Naz, if I was a promoter of note, I'm not sure I'd probably want to put the fight on either, really. You've got a Russian or Chechen champion who no one in the States really knows. And you've got Lubin, who's, again, a bit of the unknown, not really has a following. Although when you think about it, they put Barkram and Tim on, what was that, in Orlando? So, look, yeah, I just think the business model in this case, it just doesn't marry up, Naz, and that's probably why they can't get a promoter. I suppose with Tim, former world champion, big following, a lot of people went over there to support Tim. Maybe that's why they had a promoter do that one. But, yeah, I can probably see. Look, the thing I would probably look at in this case, Naz, if I was looking after Barkram, it'd be to try and put him on a card, like a Riyadh season card. Now, I even say to Turkey, look, maybe give us an opportunity. Put us on the card. See what you reckon. We did knock out one of the fighters you don't like much in Tszyu. Let's put him on the card and see what he's got and see whether he can give a good fight, because Turkey does like the 154-pound division. So maybe he could be looking at Barkram to fight the likes of Virgil Ortiz and Madrimov and these types of guys. So that's what I'd be doing if I was looking after Barkram. I'd be saying, can we just get him on the card, put this fight on there? I think that's where this fight belongs, mate. I don't think it belongs as a main event. I think it's 100% sort of looks like a Riyadh season undercard fight, if you ask me. So, but yeah, it's disappointing when you can't get a promoter to put the fight on. All right, bacon and eggs. I don't see Crawford beating Canelo at all. Canelo knocks Crawford out within 9, I reckon. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it, bacon and eggs. Look, if I had to make a call now, I'm still backing Canelo. I 100% think that Crawford can win the fight, and it would not surprise me at all if he outboxes Canelo. But I just don't think he can go past the size and strength difference between the two fighters. Along with the fact that Crawford, even if he's focusing a lot on speed, the guy's going to be so much heavier in a lot of different ways, whether it's in the legs or the upper body or wherever it might be where the weight goes. It's just simply not going to be as fast and as slick as he has been at the previous weights. So he's no matter how you look at it, he's going to be slower. Canelo's going to be really looking to make a statement against Crawford and knock him out. I just think it sort of all sort of points in the direction of maybe Canelo sort of maybe stopping Crawford in sort of 8, 9, 10 rounds, I think. So, but hey, we're all talking about it, mate. I think it's a great fight for boxing. I really do. It's a true super fight between two superstars, and let's hope we get a fight that marries up with that. Glenn says, terrible about Lubin and Buckram. The boxing world is upside down. Certainly is, mate. Julian, I watched Tony Mundine fight Canadian Gary Summerhays in the 80s at the Melbourne Town Hall. Is that right? Tony was well ahead on points in round 11, but was KO'd by a devastating right to the stomach. Unlucky. I don't remember that fight, Julian. In the 80s, was it? Okay. I certainly don't remember at live, because I would have been about 10 years old at the time. But yeah, no, that's good, mate. I'm glad you were there, mate. Or were you there? Oh, you watched the fight at the town. You weren't actually there yourself. Yeah, okay. Well, I might check it out on YouTube. But he was a very, very good fighter, Tony, and probably gets sort of lost a little bit in the whole Anthony Mundine aura, I suppose. And people forget that his dad was actually just as good as fighter, if not better, as Anthony Mundine. All right, J Beebs 3000. Junior Farr had a boxing hot take which I strongly disagreed with. He argued the older era of boxers can't beat the boxers of today because we have evolved. Your thoughts? Yeah, good question, Beebs. Oh, look, it's a really hard one, mate. I mean, it's like saying, Would the fighters of the 30s beat the fighters of the 50s? And would the fighters of the 50s beat the fighters of the 70s? And would the fighters of the 70s beat the fighters of the 90s? And so on and so on. I think it just depends on how far you go back. I think if you're talking about the fighters of today, what era would match up best with them, I would say the fighters from the 80s and 90s would definitely match up with the fighters of today. Before that, not so sure. I just think you talk about fighters evolving or maybe the 70s you could make a case, but before that, I just think they're all just a different way of fighting. I don't know. It's hard to put your finger on, but I'm not quite sure the fighters from the 30s to 60s, maybe 70s would have competed with the fighters of today. But I don't think you can compare them either, though, Beebs. I just think they're just different eras. I think it's not like it's sports like swimming and running and jumping and all that sort of stuff where, it's, I suppose evolution happens and drug cheats and all that sort of stuff. This is fighting. And I just don't know. I don't know. I don't really want to even think about it, to be honest. I don't want to think about the superstars from years gone by and the legends against the fighters today. I just want to admire them and remember them and love them for what they were back then. But yeah, I'm with you there. I disagree with Junior Farr. I think there's the fighters from the past in certain eras would have definitely handled the ones today. But well, you talk about someone like, what are we? Look at the Hearns, Durans, Leonards, Haglers. Is he trying to say that they wouldn't be competitive against today's fighters? Come on. Would Mike Tyson of the 80s not be able to steamroll the fighters of the heavyweights division in the division these days? Of course he would. So, yeah, no, I'm with you, mate. I disagree. All right. Everyone is smirking at Jake Paul being able to compete with AJ. Don't forget AJ got sat on his ass by a little tubby Mexican money talks. Yeah, but that tubby little Mexican, Tony, was a world-class fighter. Jake Paul, no matter how you break it down, I don't care whether you like him or you don't like him, the guy can't fight, Tony. He's not a good fighter. And I'll be saying the same thing if I was the number one member of Jake Paul's fan club. The guy can't fight. He's not a good fighter. That's just it. That's fact. He's not a good fighter or not a good boxer. Good in certain avenues or against certain opponents, but he's not a good fighter. I would say if you've got a fight, if you're ranking him from 1 to 10, 10 being an Usyk, I would say he's about a 4. That's about as much credit as I can give him, mate. So, whereas Andy Ruiz probably would have been a 6 or 7. Jake Paul's a 4, if that, maybe a 3.5. So, yeah, that's the difference, I think, mate. But, look, he can be put on his ass, but I've just got a feeling AJ would be almost insulted by the fact that they put him in with Jake Paul, and I think you'd see him go after Jake Paul like he went after Ngannou and go there and say, right, little man, you're in trouble. Because don't forget as well, that tubby little Mexican was about 300 pounds. Jake Paul is a cruiserweight going up to heavyweight. And before that, I think, was he a light heavyweight going up to cruiserweight. So, not a big guy, mate. And I just think AJ, if he really wanted to, unless he's got the nudge, wink, wink beforehand, not to knock him out too early, I just see that ending one way, and that is a brutal knockout of Jake Paul. Glenn, have you seen Junior Farr box? That will answer your question. Good call there, mate. All right, Bait and Eggs. Jake Paul versus Belunga would be a better fight. 2 wankers going at it. Well, that's probably the only fight Belunga's got these days, Bait and Eggs. And I think, again, commented on Walking Boxing that he's upset top-ranked Golden Boy and Matchroom. He hasn't really got many places to go, has he? And Turki Al-Sheikh's not really going to want a bar of him. So I got no idea where he goes from here, mate. So that fight would be entertaining, though. That would be an awesome build-up to the fight. And probably even, I was going to say it'd be a 50-50 fight. I think Belunga still has got far too much for Jake Paul, but that would be an entertaining fight for sure. Wanker, well, maybe they could have a wanker bout there, mate. Whoever wins it gets the big pink belt, being a wanker. All right, Eminem. Did you see the before the fight interview with Mick Francis? Sounds like Shinkara is next for Opataya as a mandatory. Then maybe Billum Smith. Really like the Bivol versus Opataya rumblings. Yeah, well, the rumblings were made by Eddie Hearn the other day. So I'm with you, mate. I was definitely excited about that. I didn't see the interview with Mick Francis, but When I did speak with Mick in New York, he did say that this is before Bivol had the back operation. He said it was all about Bivol, but he said if they couldn't get him, then they would probably look at Sin Cara, even though they didn't want to look at Sin Cara. But if he's got to fulfill his mandatory, maybe what's happened there is that they've said to Opetaya with Ramirez, that is, because he's had an operation as well. Give us to the end of the year to see how he's tracking, and then we might be able to make a more educated call. And Jai said, all right, no drama. Let's just get this mandatory out the road, and then hopefully we might get either Bivol or Ramirez, or even maybe a Benavides next year, but we'll see. Although Mick wasn't too enthused about David Benavides, which was a surprise to me. I thought he would have been really open to that, but he sort of whatever. I think at that stage it was all about Ramirez, so things changed. But that's what I think might happen, Eminem. I think they'll take Sin Cara as the mandatory just to keep Jai busy. One more fight before the end of the year. And then hopefully that Ramirez will be back in 2026. And if it's not him, then it might be Bivol or Benavides coming up. Although it does look like Benavides might be fighting Beterbiev, doesn't it? So lots of options there anyway. But I don't mind. He's going to have his mandatory just to keep him happy so he keeps his belt. Any news on Andy Ruiz Jr.? Always enjoyed his fights. No, mate. He had that comeback fight. When was it? Was it about a year ago? I think it was on the Crawford Madrimov card, wasn't it? When he fought was it Big Baby he fought? I can't remember who he fought. Was it Miller? Where is it? The Destroyer. 35-2-1. All right. Sorry, it's just loading here. I might come back to that. Still thinking about it. All right, but I'm pretty sure it was the draw with Big Baby. There it is. Big Baby Miller. That was his last fight. Yep. That was, about a year ago. Yep. August the 3rd last year. But no mention about him since then, Richard. I know did he have some injury problems or something? I can't remember. But, mate, his best days are done. You may as well just forget about him, mate, because he's not coming back, I wouldn't have thought. If he does, it won't be in the big time anyway, I wouldn't have thought. All right, Jules says the logic for AJ is to get paid millions and take no damages or risk. Paid sparring. Yeah, I don't know, Jules. I just still get the impression that AJ's still a fighter and he won't want the Jake Paul fight. I think it's going to take a lot of convincing from Eddie Hearn to get AJ to take the fight. Now, it mightn't take long if his normal paycheck's got an extra zero on the end of it or whatever it might be, but I think AJ is going to take some convincing. I think Eddie's going to have to do his best spin work, I think, to get AJ to take the Jake Paul fight. But we'll see. I just still think deep down AJ is a fighter's fighter. Olympic gold medalist, former two-time world champion. I think he'd have enough respect of the sport to really not want to take the Jake Paul fight, but we'll see. I think Eddie Hearn, on the other hand, for him, of course, it's all about the coin. He's a promoter, of course. Probably doesn't really stress too much about the legacy of his fighters or the sport itself. He just wants to get everyone paid, which is probably why he's looking to make the fight. But, yeah, I'm just hoping AJ respects the sport enough, Jules, and he says, no, I don't want the fight. Don't even come to me with an offer. I'm not interested. Right, Ryan, don't think much of Jake Paul's fighting abilities. He's good considering for his level of experience, but I would pay for it. I'd like to say I wouldn't. The result is too intriguing tonight. Yeah, I probably would too, mate. That's probably one fight I would pay to watch. But look, as far as his fighting abilities go, look, I give him credit for actually getting in the ring in the first place. But having said that, I just think a lot of his fights are dubious, mate. I really do. I just think that not even necessarily about maybe the fights being fixed, but that doesn't say that there might be a bit of a script happening. And that's, I suppose, to some extent that is fixed, but it's not like he's paying an opponent to lie down. I just think when he chooses the fighters, there's a little bit of a mutual agreement that everyone knows their place. And the fighter that he brings in knows his place in proceedings and probably wouldn't be in his best interest to try and really beat Jake Paul. That's just my opinion anyway. I don't think there's actually a sit down or, some standover man or something with the opponent. I just think that when they sign these guys up, I just think that the opponent knows his place and gets a very, very good payday for knowing his place. That's my spin on it anyway. But as far as his abilities goes, look, I suppose he's got a amateur level jab. I think he has no defense whatsoever. Don't think he knows how to slip a punch. I think he barely knows how to block a punch. Doesn't know how to have lateral movement. Footwork not overly good. Not a real big puncher, although it looks like he's a big puncher because he's knocked those guys out. But again, I don't buy a lot of it. I just don't think he's a good fighter. I think, again, what did I say was maybe a 3 or 4 of his lucky. So, all right. Naz, do you think 160 has a better pathway for Nikita? Good domestics against Xavier Fletcher, Brock and Mikhailovich. Then maybe a Saavedra and an easier path to world level than at 154. If I'm the team of Nikita, Naz, I'm not going anywhere near Saavedra. Saavedra can fight. He's a very, very good fighter. Like you say there, he could have Fletcher, Brock, and Mikhailovich. Yeah, look, and all those 3 fights are very, very winnable for Nikita. Yeah, I just don't think Saavedra's the guy. Someone maybe around the 15 to 18 mark might be okay, Naz, but Saavedra is a serious guy. Is he capable of winning a world title? Maybe just short. This is Saavedra I'm talking about. But I just don't like a Saavedra fight with Nikita. Look, who knows? Maybe Nikita comes out and blows those 3 guys away, and all of a sudden he looks like a superstar. But from what I've seen so far, Naz, I think a Saavedra fight within the next 2 to 3 years is a bad idea. But we will see. All those other 3 fights are very, very winnable. I still can't believe that Mikhailovich got a fight with Janabek. And I think Nikita would make easy work of Mikhailovich. I think the Brock Jarvis fight again, I think he would win that. Xavier Fletcher would probably be the more difficult out of all of them, if I'm being honest. But, yeah, as I said, mate, Saavedra, that's a big no-no for me. Richard, well, here's a comment from left field or a question. Where do you rate Carlos Monzon as one of the greats? Also, Isaac Hardman fought a Monzon on one of your cards. Was he a relation? That's a very, very good question. I don't remember that. He was an Argentinian, I reckon, Richard, wasn't he? Monzon? This is the one that fought Isaac Hardman. Did you think I'd know that, wouldn't you? Let me just bring up the card. I'm pretty sure it was on the Jade Mitchell card where he fought the Russian. Where was it? Let's have a look. Monzon. Where is it? Good call, Richard. We will go back. Oh, there it is. Yep, 2019. Oh, that was probably the show that still gives me PTSD now, Richard. That was one Adrian Monzon, by the way, and he stopped him in 2 rounds. That was on the Jade Mitchell and Stanislav Kashtanov card. Yeah, we decided to put that show on at the One Turner Basketball Centre, Richard, and let's just say it's probably the worst decision we ever made. Being on TV, we wanted to put it on in a good stadium. Blew up in our face, mate, because in that particular area, not many fight fans around there particularly. It was a shocking crowd. The undercard was shocking. Jade Mitchell saved the show with Kashanov. It was a great fight, and Jade Mitchell had a career-best performance. But, geez, I just quickly put that one behind me, Richard, and it was on national TV. It was on Fox Sports. I didn't dare read the comments. It was a shocker, mate. But, as I said, Jade Mitchell saved the show that night. But I think there's a lot of fighters or people in Argentina, named Monzon, Richard. But where would I rate Carlos Monzon as one of the greats? Probably top 2 or 3, I think, in all-time greats there. Richard, I still would probably have Hagler as number 1, but I think you could make a case. Well, Sugar Ray Robinson, sorry, he's the number 1, but is he a welterweight? Is he a middleweight? What is he? I think if you throw Sugar Ray Robinson there, I'd have him at number 1, and then you could throw a coin of Carlos Monzon and Marvelous Marvin Hagler. But geez, I'd be throwing in someone like a Tommy Hearns as well. What he did at middleweight too can't be underestimated either. So, but yeah, I think Carlos Monzon top 3, mate. There you go. Glenn agrees. Top 3. Julian, what was your most memorable moment of your boxing career? Good question, Julian. I still remember when I won my first international gold medal. Now, it was only the Oceania Games, by the way, but to me, that was the same as winning Olympic gold because it was my first international tournament. I think I was 19. Yeah, it would have been 19 years of age. First time out of Australia. Second time out of Australia. Sorry, I take that back. But first time representing Australia, international tournament, to get up there with the Oceania gold medal and have the national anthem of Australia played for me was the highlight at that stage, mate. The problem is that the Aussies pretty much cleaned up the gold medals, or they always did at the Oceania Games, so we had to listen to the Australian national anthem about 7 or 8 times for the night. But for me, I loved it, mate. That was probably the most memorable. Then, of course, Probably, obviously, the two main ones being the Olympic Games and Commonwealth Games. The Olympic Games, of course, just getting to the village and just being in the village and looking around in the Australian village and having Kieran Perkins, and I don't think I saw Kathy Freeman. I don't think she stayed in the village, but to see the swimmers, Kieran Perkins, Susie O'Neill, all the superstars of the Australian team. We'd have barbecues of a night, and not that we could eat, being the boxers, the swimmers, and all that could, but we couldn't. But yeah, we'd have barbecues in the. They'd have rooms where you go. This is before the internet, remember? So you go in there and have the newspapers and stuff, and you could get the newspapers from home and read up what's going on at home. Can you believe that? Back then, there's no internet, so we'd have to get the Herald Sun or the Courier Mail or whatever from home, and we'd be reading that for all the news back home. And I remember being in there and just seeing superstar after superstar after superstar wander around in the same uniforms as what we had, eating the same food, just doing the same things as what we did. That was memorable there, mate. Just to be in the village and then to see the boxers, those the top boxers. And I still remember the American team. We had to get photos or something done, and the American team was standing beside us. And I remember seeing Floyd Mayweather Jr., Antonio Tarver, Fernando Vargas, who was in my division. Speaking of Fernando Vargas, and I've mentioned it here a few times, but that could have been my most memorable moment, is actually fighting Fernando Vargas. I was this close to fighting him. I think he was the last one of Group A, and I was the first one of Group B that was drawn out. So I was one pick away from fighting Fernando Vargas, which would have been a nice little story for now, wouldn't it? But it is what it is. But also, one last thing, Julian, to walk out, obviously at the Olympic Games, it was great, but the one that took the cake for me is walking out at the Commonwealth Games in 1998. I was in Kuala Lumpur, and to walk out there, it was just a different feel to the Olympic Games. Olympic Games obviously is a lot bigger, but the Commonwealth, walking out amongst other Commonwealth nations where everyone was sort of on a par. Australia, Canada, England, Ireland, all on a par. Whereas you go to the Olympics and all the countries are all over the place as far as importance and everything goes, and support and everything goes. At the Commonwealth Games, all those Commonwealth countries are so well supported, and the crowd just went nuts, full of Aussies. It was awesome, mate. So, but as far as achievements go, if that's what you're talking about, I know I'm taking up most of the episode on my most memorable moment. As I said, the Oceania Games, but even winning my first Australian title. I was a 14-year-old, and I won the Australian title in Lake Dartmouth, in Victoria. And I was in a circus tent, and I remember the night before lying in bed thinking I might be Australian champion tomorrow. And I won the title. I beat a Western Australian, I think. So that was probably my first memorable moment, mate, in the ring, was that fight. But anyway, I saw No Limit posted a small promo for Sam Goodman's fight. There you go, Lachlan. Thanks for that. I haven't seen it yet. I will get online after this and check it out, mate. But that's got to be the first time. Thanks for coming to the party, No Limit. It's only a week before the fight, but good stuff. As long as you get those Jazzy Parr videos out and the Brock Jarvis videos out, don't worry about Sam Goodman fighting for a world title. But anyway, all right, OG, lights out. I think Big J was dropped on the head when he was a baby. Definitely a couple of cans short of that case. Okay, all right, I'll let you and Big J sort that out. Feeling bad for Anthony Yard, says Tony. Just hang on a sec. As he has no idea what awaits him in the press conferences when he fights David Benavidez. I hope Anthony is not thin-skinned, as the trash talk will be coming at him. Not to mention those big lefts and rights, Tony. I think it's going to be not a great experience for Anthony Yard in or outside the ring there, mate, but I'm with you there. Glenn says he doesn't mind a bit of trash talking. Yeah, I suppose you're right, but David Benavidez just puts it in the gutter, though, doesn't he? It's not the usual trash talking. He really gets down and dirty, David Benavidez, and I don't like the fact that he's swearing and carrying on, especially when he's got kids and that on his knees. I think it lacks a bit of class, but yeah, we'll see, mate. That won't be a bad fight, actually. I think Benavidez knocks him out, but should be entertaining while it lasts anyway. Oh, good stuff, Eminem. Wade Ryan hitting in a comeback. Good stuff. Jackson Murray has retired from fighting. Geez, Eminem, he had a lot to say there for a while, didn't he, about what he was going to do? He got knocked out bad, though, didn't he? Overseas. So that would not surprise me, mate. I wouldn't be surprised if his team and the doctors not said after that, mate, This sport is not for you. That was a bad knockout. Glenn, talking of comebacks, Danny Garcia is apparently looking for another fight. He needs to retire for good after that Lara fight. Yeah, I'm with you there, Glenn. Yeah, fighting October. I think it's October 18th at the Barclays Center in New York. Yeah, I don't think Danny Garcia needs to fight again, mate. He looked really bad against Lara. The only thing with this fight is he's going down to 154 instead of fighting Lara, which was at 160. So, but yeah, I'm with you there, mate. I think he needs to retire. Charlie Senior having his second pro fight in the UK in a couple of weeks. Also, thanks, Naz. I'll be keeping a lookout on that. Very, very good prospect is Charlie Senior. All right, has anyone seen the documentary Assault in the Ring about Billy Conlon's and Lewis Resto fight? Got it on my watch list. Yeah, Naz. We've actually done a video about that as well. Naz, go back through the videos on this channel. And myself, and I think it was Mike Altamura, can't remember, it might have been Tszyu, I can't remember, but we actually did I have seen the documentary, by the way, but we actually did a special on that fight. And if you haven't seen it or don't know about it, Billy Collins was an up-and-coming young fighter in New York. Lewis Resto was a journeyman, and they've taken out a lot of his padding, and he's absolutely beat Billy Collins almost to death in the ring. And he lost the fight, did Billy, went the distance, and when they shook hands in the corner afterwards, the corner could feel there was missing padding. And I think Resto, did they go to jail? I think his cornerman might have, Naz, Panama Lewis, and he was barred or whatever. I can't remember what happened, but there is a really good documentary about it. And if you want to see our point of view of it as well, just go back through our catalogues, probably a couple of years ago. Grommets, when do you see the next possible big fight on Australian shores? Paro for a title, Opataya versus Zerdo. I would say if I had to pick one, Grommets. I would say Paro for a title. Depends on what you define as a big fight. Could it be, well, yeah, it could be Paro, I suppose. I was just going to say maybe Nikita and Zeraffa. Is that a big fight on Australian shores, or just, well, is it a real big fight in the scheme of things, or just a big fight on Australian shores? If I had to compare the two, Paro against anyone world class would be a bigger fight worldwide, but not so much for pay-per-views here in Australia. But could be, mate. By the sounds of things, as we said before, Paro looks like he's got a big fight about to announce, so we would think it'd be, I'm not so sure it'll be a world title fight, but I'd say it'll be a fight of significance anyway. I don't think Opataya and Zerdo makes it to Australia, mate. Too much money. Moses gets Dillian out of there early, in my opinion, says Ryan. Dillian is a brawler at best. Moses is young, quick, and powerful. Dillian is way too loose with his looping shots. Okay. You're on the Moses early stoppage bandwagon. Tommy Fitzgerald fighting on the 23rd. Enlighten me there, Richard. Richard, which Tommy are we talking about? Is he the... Geez, all these... I think... Hang on, I'll just type his name in here. Tommy Fitzpatrick. I'm just... All right. No, that can't be. Which one are you talking about there, Richard? Let me in on... There's a few there. There's a lot of Tommy Fitzpatricks. I'm just trying to get my head around which one you're talking about. Is that Tom... No. Well, it's got to be him. It's got to be Irish Tommy. Anyway, let me in on there, Richard, because I don't know which one you're talking about. All right. D-Style says, I kind of want Whyte to give him a good fight just because I'm tired of the hype. People saying things like Parker doesn't deserve it, but Moses does. Time to bring the hype down a bit. I'm with the D-Style. I want to be convinced, but I'm not just yet. People acting like Moses is the one that parted the Red Sea. Yeah, good one there, D-Style. I like that. What's going with Paulo Acuso? Says Eminem. Your guess is as good as mine, mate. I have no idea. I thought he was back with No Limit. I still have heard that he is going to be with No Limit, but they've got nothing planned for him. He was at the launch, but nothing yet for Paulo Acuso. Now, just so I don't look like an idiot, I'm going to actually type in his name. Geez, hang on. Paulo Acuso. All right. Because I don't think he's got anything. So what is he? 8-0. Hasn't fought since November last year when he beat Clay Waterman. So, yep. I don't know, Eminem. Let's hope he does end up back with No Limit. But, yeah, nothing confirmed yet. Yep. The Lewis Resto documentary is well worth your time. Yep, says Drew. Yep. D-Style. Unfortunately, it's just a dangerous sport. They do need to do something about dehydration. This is the Japanese Boxing Commission. Less liquid in the brain, and they do need better judgment when they stop the fight. It's sad, yep. Naz, I saw Boots already ranked at 54 without fighting there. Yep, and Liam Paro is ranked with the IBF as well, I think, mate. So 4 with WBO, 2 with WBA, and 1 with the WBC. Not a bad head start in a deep division. Let me just have a quick look at that. Just going back to Liam, so he's now ranked number 7 with the IBF at 147. So they, from about a week ago, the ratings come out. All right, so yeah, with, who'd you say there? Boots, Joan Boots Ennis. All right, so he's not ranked with the IBF. Is he? No. He's ranked 2, yeah, like you said, 2 with the WBA, yep. 1 with the WBC. How does that work? And 4 with the WBO. That is nuts. All right, Oscar Everingham. Hey, brother, love your work. Thanks, Oscar. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Callum Smith versus Morrell Jr. I love David's style. I think David Morrell, that's easy work for him, Oscar, if I'm being honest. I think Callum Smith's his best days are behind him, and I think David Morrell would win that. I think he could stop Callum Smith, but probably more so looking at a comprehensive points decision, Oscar. But wouldn't be a bad fight. I know they've been talking about it for a while, although they were talking about Callum Smith and Benavidez there for a while too, weren't they? But yeah, I'm with you. I think it'd be a great fight, but Morrell for me. All right, someone's just said. All right, sorry, Tommy. What did I say? Tommy Fitzgerald. Okay, not Tommy Fitzpatrick. Sorry, guys. All right. Sorry. Where are we? I'm sure someone's corrected me down there. Tommy Fitzgerald. Okay. What am I looking for? And there's about 95 Tommy Fitzgerald on BoxRec. Fill me in, guys. I've missed it. All right. What's that, D-Style? They do half-hour time zones in Australia? Yes, they do, D-Style. 30 minutes, yep. So if Sam Goodman wins, he's a perfect position to get Inoue since Inoue is gunning for the belts at feather. Yep. It's just, what's that? It's just half an hour. Might as well just leave it in the same. I don't think it was by choice, D-Style. I think it's just the way, a bit like you guys. I think you've got an hour in between, haven't you? Where you are in Dallas and all that sort of stuff at Texas. I think that's an hour. Is it because it's 3 hours from east to west? I think there might be an hour's difference because when I went there a couple of weeks ago, I went from New York to Dallas, which was a different time zone. Dallas to Albuquerque, I think, which was another time zone. And Albuquerque, down to Tombstone. So I think I went through 3 different time zones while I was there. Then actually a 4th one when I went to Las Vegas. So, but I reckon when I went from New York to Dallas to Albuquerque in a day, I went through 3 different time zones. So just the same here, mate. Just the way we fall in the scheme of things of the earth. That's why. All right, Naz, light heavy shaping up to be a good division under Bivol and Better Bev. Can Kadaev get another chance against one of the top dogs there, or will he be avoided after what he did to Morrell? I don't think Kadaev's going to get an opportunity soon, Naz. I think it's a bit like Justice Honey against Fabio Wardley. Didn't get the loss, and I think it's going to be a double dip in that he's not going to get anyone wanting to fight him. Mate, you know the golden rule, though, don't you? If they've got a beard and you can't pronounce their last name, you stay away from them. And no moustache. If it's just the beard and you can't, and the last letter of the name is either a V or a Z, stay the hell away from them because they can fight. All right, I just seen Eddie Hearn jump the gun in announcing a Boots versus Ortiz fight for it was official. Unfortunately, Ortiz camp had no such negotiations. They both said camp should push for the fight. Yeah. What do we got there? All right. Yeah, it did. Everyone knew about that except Ortiz's camp there, mate. All right, Batman. Ball was beating Sam Goodman in good fashion. I'd be extremely surprised if he didn't. Yeah, I tend to agree. Crawford's looking good, says Glenn. All right, looking good. It's been a year since he last fought, and he looked mediocre by his own lofty standards. Who are we talking about there? Oh, Crawford. Yep. Don't you guys start. We've only got about 25 minutes to go. Nearly as good as Canelo looked against School, says Glenn. That's Crawford. All right. Batman. Canelo did look bad in that fight, yet nobody felt he lost, unlike Crawford, and asked Virgil about Madrimov. He beat far easier. Yeah, I think in those fights, though, Batman, I think Crawford against Madrimov didn't want to fight Madrimov. I think it was just, all right, give him to me, whatever. I don't think he was into that fight. I think you'll see a lot better performance against Canelo. I just don't think he was up for it. And then you've got Canelo against School. It's like, shit, Jesus, friggin' 7 o'clock in the morning. There's like 2,000 people in the stands. I'm just not feeling it. Now, this guy doesn't want to fight. I can't be bothered even trying to chase him down, so I'm just going to win on points. That's what I think happened in those two fights. I think you're going to see a lot better performance by both guys in the September fight there. Naz says, I'm looking forward to the build-up over the next month to the big showdown between Batman, Canelo and Crawford. I'm sure there'll be a lot of backwards and forwards there, Naz. All right, I'll let you guys sort it out in the chat. Andy, how are you there, mate? Moses uppercut definitely is capable of a stoppage. Whyte is a big step up, in my opinion, but Moses shows heaps of promise. Yep, he does, mate. That's for sure. Batman says Whyte looked terrible in his last fight. Fraser Clark KO'd the same opponent in a round the next fight. Nah, another good call, Batman. Yep. Explicit. I have a feeling if Itauma knocks out Whyte in 1 to 3 rounds, Turkey will try hard to get Usyk. I tend to agree. Explicit. Yep. And you get the impression that Turkey really wants that fight. He really wants to get Itauma in there with Usyk. And he's going to need a highlight reel knockout of Whyte to do that, mate, I think. If he doesn't, I don't think he gets the Usyk fight. D-Style Moses getting a crack at Usyk. We'll see. Usyk before Parker is bull. I agree, mate. Parker deserves the fight, but unfortunately probably doesn't bring a lot to the table as far as appeal. So, Drew, if Crawford beats Canelo twice on the bounce, is there an argument he retires? With 2 straight wins over Canelo and a massive cash to boot, he might not have much more out there to inspire him. I would think if he beat Canelo twice, Drew, I would say 99% he would retire. Well, what else is there? Especially if he beats him comprehensively. It doesn't make sense to go back a third time, does it? And who else is there? Not going to go to 175. He's not really going to go back to 160 and fight a dangerous guy like Janabek or Lara or Adames. And he probably doesn't really want to bust his ass to get back down to 154. So there's really not much for him after that. There's Justin. How are you, mate? Thanks for your input on Japan. Japan has the most fairest matching on the planet. The culture is to not waste time with finding out whether a prospect has the goods. That will be done by matching evenly. Thanks for clarifying that, mate. Really appreciate it. Batman. Whyte's lack of speed will make him basically a heavy bag with eyeballs. My bet will be Ball to win and Moses by stoppage. Okay. Dave Orell, how are you there, Dave? I see Keyshawn Davis has apologised for his behaviour in his last fight. Crazy to lose a title on the scales. He's a little tarnished after that. Yeah, I agree, Dave. I think the backlash he's got over that just probably made him a little humbler, if that's the word. And good to see he's at least manned up and apologised, mate. D-Style says it won't be a rematch because Canelo is beating Bud. Canelo, easy work, easy money. Canelo's defense and speed will shock Crawford big time. Easy work, says Batman. Naz says 100% Parker deserves his shot. His latest call-out video to Usyk is gold. Yeah, he does do those really good videos, doesn't he? Wish he was more vocal in the media, though. Yeah, good point. He probably needs to get a little bit more sort of vocal, a bit more trash talking, I suppose, but it's just not his style. I'll be there. Can't wait. Yep, should be awesome, mate. Boxing's apex was the 80s. I agree, D-Style. What an era that was. The flat-footed ginger one who's lost 2 steps will be comprehensively outboxed by Bud, says Glenn. Sorry. Carl, it's Sam Goodman's fight week, gents. Let's really back the guy as the star of the card. Come on, Sammy. Yeah, let's hope so, Carl. Let's hope he gets that win, mate. All right, I'm going to let... there's D-Style. Yeah, good stuff, mate. Get some sleep. Thanks for tuning in there, mate. Really appreciate it. Where are we? I'll let you guys keep moving on there. Looking forward to Donovan versus Crocker, all-Irish IBF title fight in September. Donovan will be another Andy Lee success story. Yeah, that'll be actually a good fight, Naz. I agree with that. Glenn agrees on the Moses fight with Batman. I guess you got to get one right occasionally. Yep. Tony Mundine, Gary Summerhays was the main fight at Melbourne Town Hall in the 80s. Yep. So with D-Style, the It's Evolved argument is lazy. We just had a late 40s pack come back and arguably beat a prime modern-day welterweight champion. Well said, D-Style. It's a tough argument. As I said, it's really hard to put different eras against each other. Glenn, defense. Canelo can't stop a good jab, and Bud will be doing it from both stances. You're making not a bad argument there, Glenn. D-style fighters today are so evolved at almost 59 years old, shouldn't be coming back and arguably winning. Good call, D-style, as always. 50-year-old, sorry. The evolved era where Ryan Garcia only throws left hooks. Yeah, that's about it, mate. But, hey, do you reckon we really would have seen what we saw in Times Square a couple of months ago, where fighters just uninterested and have no interest in exchanging punches? Would never have seen that back in the day. Is that weak ass advanced evolved era? I guess. Yeah. All right. Batman says, "Are you aware who Crawford is?" to Glenn, or do you have the superhero imagine in your mind based on him beating Spence? I mean, what would Canelo do to Spence? Munguia's size and volume would give. Crawford fits. Okay. Probably beats him. Virgil also let alone Canelo. Jeez. All right. All right, Naz, change the subject. Thank you. Jarrell Miller versus Michael Hunter should be a good one on the Canelo Crawford undercard. It's not on the undercard, mate. It's a couple of days before, but I get your meaning. Would have loved the battle of the big babies, though. Yeah, that would have been interesting. Who would have won? I probably would have backed Anderson, to be honest, but it still would have been a good fight. All right, explicit. Turkey should have put Eubank Ben 2 a week after Norman and Haney to take advantage of the no pay-per-view subscription. Yeah, well, they talk a big talk, don't they, explicit, but whether they can deliver is another thing. I don't know about Eubank Ben too. I'm just not feeling it at the moment about the rematch. I just don't think there needed to be a rematch. We all saw they had a really good fight. Eubank won the fight. Ben can take some solace out of the fact he went up 2 divisions and did okay. Just go back to division and do your thing. I just don't understand why we need to. Well, I do understand, obviously, money, but... All right, Carl, Australia's heavyweight landscape looks good, in my opinion. A lot of guys who can go places in the world with support and learning. Yes. Yeah, well, I don't know, Carl. The only really one I can see that has to go places in the world is Justice Honey, if I'm being honest. And Teramona. They're probably the only two. But I'm happy to be proven wrong. Cal Jane, hope Itauma gets beat by Whyte will be egg on Turkey's face with the Parker dramas. Let's go Aussies. Yes, Cal. Glenn says he beat Triple G once. That's 2-1 to the Kazakh. Talking about Canelo. I'll let you guys keep going there. Are we almost at the end of our comments? Almost. All right. Batman. Hang on. Back to Naz. I wonder if Caroline Dubois, Fraser Clark, and Ben Whittaker will stick around with Boxer. BBC Plus is like our version of 7 Plus. I think, yeah, that is the case there, Naz. And that's, yeah, Ben Shalom and Boxer are now the only promoters with a free-to-air network with the BBC. And, BBC Plus. So it'll be like our 7 Plus or 9 Gem or something like that. So, yeah, it's good to see that you can at least still get some boxing content for free, Naz. Batman, did you hear Canelo's team wanted the belt sending before the fight? They're that confident it's already done. Okay. They wanted the belt sent to them. I'm hoping that's just hearsay, Batman. I think Canelo will be taking them pretty seriously. All right. Carlo Capota, how are you there, mate? Goodman being fed to ball. Got to question his team. Yeah, I know it's about the money, but this could probably damage his career. Cheers for the content. No worries, Carlo. Yeah, look, I understand. Look, the feeling of Goodman being fed the ball, but I don't blame Sam Goodman at all for for taking the fight with Nick Ball. It's a world title fight, so you've got to take the opportunities while they're there. And yes, it's about money, but also world titles. I don't think it'll damage his career, mate. Well, what could possibly happen to his career that would happen if he didn't take the fight? It'd still be just sitting in the top tens of both or all the divisions and probably in no man's land. So I think it probably would have damaged his career more by not taking the fight at all, because Naoya, in a way, hadn't mentioned his name at all since he had to pull out of the second fight. So I just think if he hadn't have taken this fight with Nick Ball, I think that would have done more damage than actually taking it, mate. So, and no worries with the content. Thanks for tuning in. Batman, when Canelo laughed in Crawford's face and said, I never expected to fight this guy. Canelo rubbing his hands together for a big payday for a guy that brings less danger than Munguia, in my opinion. Yeah, you make a good argument too there, Batman. Rayleigh Frame, did you see the Victor Conti post regarding Ryan Garcia being cleared, even though he already had his 1 year suspension? The Open 2 products were tampered with as both sealed from same batch negative. I didn't see that, Rayleigh, but that Victor Conti is bad news. Naz, Canelo had a case or something built especially for the gold belt, didn't he? Well, you got to be confident, Naz, don't you? Yeah, because that's right. There is that special belt. Is it the gold belt, is it? Yeah, okay. It's a special edition ring belt, I think, isn't it? So, yeah, that's awesome. Canelo, he's probably got no room in his house for all the belts he's got, Canelo. Glenn can't stop a jab. All right, J Beebs 3000. I would argue Crawford is no longer a switcher. He's predominantly a southpaw now from his last few fights. Boots is the switcher. Yeah, I can't remember. Did he switch against Spence much? I can't really remember, mate. But, yeah, you're right. Against Madrimov, he didn't switch much at all. That's for sure. Batman, Boxer will have many promotions trying to take the guys, Whittaker, Dubois, etc. Yeah, probably. Maybe Boxer can take Edgar Berlanga. Batman says Crawford was eating flush right hands from Avanasian. Plenty of them. Pity Canelo can't throw us good straight right hand. He does. I reckon what Canelo will do is what he did against Callum Smith. I think he'll wing those right hands into the shoulders and forearms, the shoulders and biceps of Terence Crawford to try and slow him down. He'll be banging. I think Canelo will be trying to bang everything, like his elbows. He'll be hitting on the hips, the shoulders. He'll just be punching everywhere to try and slow Crawford down. And yeah, as I said earlier in the episode, I'm just a little bit worried that with the added weight, no matter where that weight is, it's going to slow Crawford down. And can he stay away and be as slick and fast as he normally is against Canelo, who's just going to be in sort of heat-seeking mode, isn't he? So, yeah, he can't throw a straight right hand or move or defend a jab. Okay, yep. What's that? Batman said, dropped an unbeaten Austin Trout fresh off beating Cotto with a straight right hand. That was 30 years ago. Well, it was about 10 years ago, Glenn. I think it was 2000 and it would have been 14 or 15. All right. Liam, speaking of your 96 Olympics experience, did you get to witness Vasily Zhirov at those games? Probably, Liam. I can't remember him. What weight was he, mate? Let me just type him in. There were so many great fighters at that tournament, and in hindsight, I didn't make the most of it because I was probably so down on my performance that I didn't really go to a lot of the boxing, if I'm being honest. I think I went to the finals when I was there actually the day that Floyd Mayweather got beaten by Todorov, the Bulgarian, and the crowd just went nuts. Oh, okay, Vasily Zhirov. So, what? Oh, Kazakhstan. Was he Kazakhstan? Yeah, well, I lost to a Kazakhstani. Where is it? Just bring him up here. No, I don't remember seeing him there, mate. No, he had a pretty good pro career too. 38-3, 1 draw, 32 knockouts. No, I didn't. I don't remember seeing him there, Liam. But I remember seeing a lot of good fighters. The day that Mayweather lost to Todorov, that was it was just electric in there that day. There were some really good fights that day. All right, Drew. It's hard to see where Daniel Dubois goes next after such a devastating loss to Usyk. There was so much hype around the chances of Dubois. I must admit, I bought the redemption hype. I must admit, Drew, I gave him a big chance. I thought that he'd grown a little bit since the first fight. He would have gone into the fight with confidence after dropping Usyk in the first fight, regardless of the circumstances. And I was really disappointed because he was just looked like a big wooden cardboard cutout, didn't he? I think in the first fight, Usyk didn't really put the foot down until sort of the 8th or 9th round. Up until then, he was sort of boxing smart and having a good look at Dubois. I think we underestimated that Usyk, seen what Daniel Dubois had in the first fight, probably thought, well, as soon as I picked it up in the first fight, Dubois was pretty much at sea. Only had success when I sort of was going through the motions early, and in the second fight, just picked it up right from the word go. As soon as he really got going, what was it, the 5th round, Daniel Dubois made the mistake of trying to trade with Usyk, who just planted his punches and all over. But yeah, I was really disappointed in Daniel Dubois, Drew. But is it a matter of being disappointed in Dubois or just really impressed with Usyk? Probably a little bit of both. Jules, Goodman is the most prepared of any Aussie fighter for an opportunity like this. Yeah, it's a good call too, Jules. Fought numerous international opponents, ranked inside top 5 to 10, handled them all, if not now, when. Yep, I agree with you, Jules. Yep, fully agree with what you're saying there. And we sometimes bring down our Aussie fighters for being pushed into world title fights before they're ready. I don't think Sam Goodman could be any more ready than what he is now. Will it matter? Who knows? But yeah, I think he's had a good grounding, a good build-up. And yeah, and you're right. If not now, then when? Yep, I agree. Batman, Crawford would have obviously lost to Floyd, Lara, Triple G, Kovalev, and Bivol. Callum Smith all beat a 147 guy who got dropped by Madrimov. Okay. Jules says, however, Frank Warren is a very clever operator. They want ball versus in a way. They don't think Sam is capable of derailing that, but they did pick Honey to fight Wardley. I think, look, this could quite possibly, Jules, be a repeat of the Honey and Wardley fight where they bring over an unknown Aussie who's supposed to be light punching sort of pushover, and they underestimate him, and they almost get upset. Could be said the same from Sam. Don't know. Well, the fact they haven't really paid him the respect by watching his tapes and having a strategy, who knows? It could be the same as Wardley, who almost got upset by Honey. Honey, what was it, the 10th round? I thought Honey probably won 8 out of the 9 rounds before that. I think he absolutely dominated Wardley, and I still just cannot get my head around that he managed to lose that fight. Glenn, Crawford would not have lost to Mayweather like Canelo did. Would have been way closer, and he possibly could have beaten him. What weight? Well, I don't think it would have mattered anywhere between lightweight and welterweight, Glenn. Yeah, again, it's about styles, though. I don't think Crawford... Well, I was just going to say he hasn't got the sort of same style as Mayweather, but he sort of has to some respects, hasn't he? He hasn't got the sort of Philly shell going on, but he has got some really good defense, and he really makes you pay like Mayweather did. The difference here, though, Glenn, is while I'm sticking with Canelo, is that Mayweather was, even though he was 36, I think he was, the weight difference wasn't that much. They fought at they weighed in at 152. Obviously, the weight between them would have been big on the night, but similar sort of style, body shape, body sizes, I suppose. Crawford is just so much smaller than Canelo, and the weight difference is massive. Don't know. And Mayweather is not putting on a lot of weight to hinder his natural assets, where Crawford is. So, I don't know. Look, it's a tough fight to pick, but at this stage, I'm sticking with Canelo. Drew says, against Mayweather and Bivol, once he fell behind, you seem to have a lack of answers. If Crawford dominates early, I could see this scenario playing out. Yeah, that's a really good call, Drew. If he starts fast and wins maybe 4 of the first 5 rounds and Canelo's got to chase him, then maybe he loses a little bit of faith. And maybe Crawford gains in confidence. So it's a really good call. I like that, Drew. Yes, where are we? It's just you guys going at it. All right. Liam, Giro's fight with James Toney is one of the most underrated pro fights of this century. 96 is one of my favourite games to go back and watch. I don't think I saw Giro's fight with Toney. Now that you said that, I'll go back and watch him. Yeah, mate, it was just chock full of superstars. It really was. Look, it wasn't a great tournament for me, obviously, but in hindsight, yeah, it was just a really good experience for me. I just wasn't ready as far as experience goes. I think I was 22, I think. Hadn't really had many international tournaments, but yeah, to be there and watch the likes of Mayweather and Tava and Todorov and all these just great fighters. Like even the welterweight in my division who ended up winning the gold. There was a Cuban, which I think was Sierra. I think his name was Juan Hernandez Sierra. I think that might have been his name. I can't remember, but he was big, tall Cuban. And the Russian, I won't bring it up now. We're too close to the end. But the Russian guy beat him in the final, and he was brilliant to watch. He really was. I was really hoping I'd get maybe a crack at him down the track. And surprisingly, when was it? In 97. I was the Australian champion and the A team, and there was a tournament they went overseas. Now the B team was a guy named Damien Dennis. I actually stopped Damien a couple of times, but while I was out of it, he took my spot and went overseas to some international tournament. He ended up fighting the Russian that won the gold medal at the 96 Olympics, and I just would have loved to have had that opportunity. And he did okay against him. But I sort of kicked myself to this day that I didn't go to those tournaments and maybe give myself a chance to fight that guy. I did fight the Irishman who won. I think he might have won bronze or got close to it. That was at the where was that? Not the King's Cup, Liverpool Cup, and I actually won that fight against a Northern Ireland or Irish, whatever he was, but. Did he win a bronze? He won. I think he won 2 or 3 fights anyway. But a long time ago. All right, Ray Lee. Shout out to Goodman and hope he gets the win. Ryan, how's the pub going? Next time I'm in Vic, I'll try and get in there for a pint. We don't have pints, Ryan. We have schooners. The pints are too big. I mean, what are they for a pint? Like $15 to $20. We do schooners for $8 every day, mate. So we're very, very, very well priced. Probably won't get there until our Blues are in the GF. Hopefully we're both still around. Yeah, well, who knows, mate. We will be doing a big grand final day, but unfortunately the Blues won't be in it, mate. Maybe next year. All right, I've got time for a couple of more comments there. It just seems like we've got Batman and Glenn going at it in the chat. All right, Kid Manila. How are you, Kid? One of the great legendary upsets. Chiquita, Gonzalez, Mexico versus Rolando, Pascua, Philippines. That was, when was that? About 20 years ago. Kid Manila. He was a great fighter, was Chiquita. I don't remember that fight, though, if I'm being honest. Long time ago. All right, I'll get a couple of comments from our two protagonists. Crawford went 6 years without fighting a champion from Horn to Spence. How many champions? How many title champions and weights did Canelo do in that time? Okay, we'll give you the retort there, Glenn. Undisputed 2 weight classes. Explain who he ducked. David Benavides. Okay. I think. Well, we've only got a minute or so to go, so we might just call it a day there, because what's that, Batman? At 140. That's discussing Crawford and Canelo's resumes. I'll let you guys continue to go at it there, guys. But look, we'll finish up a minute early. What's that there, Kid Manila? Any Aboriginal produce any champ? Yep. Lionel Rose, Anthony Mundine, Daniel Gill, Kid Manila, Robbie Peden. I hope I haven't forgotten anyone. But they were some Aboriginal, or they're First Nations these days, Kid Manila. I don't think we call them Aboriginal anymore, but First Nations or Indigenous, I think. Lynden, winner, me and Batman. And I'm really warming to the situation maybe where we do a debate and we have a subject and we have two. We could also maybe have a show just between you guys, mate, where we have a debate. We pick a subject and you guys can have a couple of minutes and go back and forth. Jules, is Batman versus Glenn low-key becoming the next dream fight to be covered on the channel? I'm liking it, Jules. I don't mind the concept. I really don't mind. I must admit, I am considering going back to, or bringing out another show, going back to a show, sorry, the deep dive show that we used to have, where we have some people on, and not so much the comment section like you guys have got going now, but we have a couple of guests on, and we just talk all things boxing. Maybe do it once. It could even do it once a month and have a panel or whatever it might be, and just go over all the news. You remember I used to do the weekly roundup. I sort of can the weekly roundup because I do a daily roundup now on Walking Boxing, but either do it weekly or monthly, where we do a boxing roundup where we have a different two different guests on each week, and we just talk about all the different topics of the week or the month, whatever it might be, and just have another dimension, some more input to what's happening in the boxing world. But we'll see how we go. But guys, look, that's going to do it. It is 9 o'clock on the dot now, which means we're going for 2 hours. Really appreciate everyone that's tuned in tonight. Make sure if you've got a comment, a question, whatever it might be, to put it in the comment section there for next week. Remember to watch Walking Boxing every morning. The episodes are up by about sort of between 9 and 10. Good ammunition for the smoker or lunch break, whatever it might be. Good content, and see how you're going, of course, every week on Talking Boxing. So guys, great to have you along again. Have a great week, and we'll catch you next Monday on Talking Boxing.